Hey everyone, it's Naveed here to do the Real Buttons Podcast, episode 17, and I'm here with Spencer, as always.
That was for me. That was for me. That was for me.
Yeah. Not for me.
Not
Screw
for
Naveed.
So
we got quite a bit of news
Yeah,
for this.
we do.
Like we had like nothing like a day ago or 2 days ago, and we were like scrambling to get some news. But then I think I personally totally forgot the VGAs were happening. So
I did not know. I don't follow the VGAs because I despise them, and so I had no
Oh, they
idea
suck.
they were happening. And then what happened was Bruno was all talking about them on Twitter. And I was like, oh, those are going on?
yeah, exactly.
And,
I was like,
Bruno being our chief listener of the podcast.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I was like, so he was talking about those on Twitter, and I was like, why the hell are you? Wait, those are going on, and why are you watching them? And he was all like, oh, they're just terrible. I don't know why I'm watching them.
Yeah, like, so yeah, those were going on, and there's some pretty big announcements from that, and then like the day after, some other news popped up, I think.
got
So
some
it was-
financial news and stuff like that today, and I don't know why.
yeah. So
I don't-
anyway,
it probably.
I guess I'll start off.
The financial news probably came out yesterday, but was overshadowed by the VGAs.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway, I guess I'll start off with my what I've been playing, what I bought. So I guess the first thing I'll talk about is The Walking Dead, and I guess that's a good segue from the VGA since The Walking Dead actually won Game of the Year from the VGAs. Not that it matters a whole lot. It doesn't at all, in my opinion. But yeah, I picked The Walking Dead because it was everyone has been praising it, and I played.
Yeah, and the other thing, I know you already are past this, but the other thing is when you look at the past years of games that have won Game of the Year over some of their contenders at the VGAs, it's really painful.
The biggest offender is by far like the first year, was it Madden?
Yeah, it was Madden over Wind Waker. And not to mention, I think there was other games that came out in that year that are just like that weren't even nominated, and like neither of the Super Mario Galaxy games ever was nominated. And you know, folks, like I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan. Like I mean, I like Nintendo. I used to love Nintendo, but I mean, give me a fucking break. Not even nominating the Super Mario Galaxy games? Fuck off.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. That's some bullshit right there. I don't give a fuck what you play. That is bullshit.
So anyway, I played The Walking Dead a bit, first episode all the way through, and so far, yeah, I mean, like the story seems to be freaking great. So I can see where the praise is coming from. It's not a real like. It's an adventure game, but it's more like interactive story, really. So it's
Is it boring
less
you?
game, more of a story. So
Is it boring you?
and Walking Dead has been pretty good. I'm looking forward to going through the rest of the episodes because I hear it just gets better from here on out, and I hear the performances from each character are great. So, Walking Dead seems pretty great. The Humble THQ bundle was released over this since we did our last podcast, and Jesus, man, that was kind of unexpected for me personally because I did not say THQ would release all these in a Humble bundle, but I think what did it include?
It included Red Faction Armageddon, Darksiders, Metro 2033, Company Heroes, 2 of the Company Heroes expansions, Saints Row the Third if you beat the average, and then the other beat the average game that they added halfway through was Titan Quest. So it's a pretty amazing package of games. But I do have to say I'm a little bit disappointed on at the average being 563. I think that's retarded.
Well, yeah, I mean it's.
People should come on.
It's
people.
like I think I've seen like just normal indie bundles averaging higher than
8.
that.
Yeah, get to 8, and it's just like this is like and also like on NeoGAF I want to say like I saw some people just being like doing these posts like oh fuck THQ and all this stuff, and it's like why? Like they gave you some really good games free of
Exactly.
charge, and it's like, well, not free of charge, but I mean, this is kind of I don't know. I was really upset about this, and also it comes with the Path to War DLC for Red Faction Armageddon, and I don't know. I mean, I already owned all these games, so except for Titan Quest and the Company of Heroes expansions, but like Darksiders, Metro 2033, Red Faction Armageddon, Saints Row the Third are all good games, and Titan Quest is a good game too. But it's like
I personally wanted Saints Row the most out of this, just to beat the average things. And Metro, like if it's still going on now, so if you wanna
it's
go
still going
pick
on.
that up,
It's sold. It's
and
the highest selling. It's the highest selling and highest grossing Humble Bundle of all time. And there's been some other arguments like, oh, that like Humble Bundles sold out and all this stuff, and it's like, no, they have not. The Humble Bundle never said they were only an indie bundle. They said that what the Humble Bundles are about is packaging games that are good, regardless of where they come from, and selling them to generate money for charity. That's all the Humble Bundle ever said it was about.
the charity this time is THQ.
It's on the verge of collapse. So please donate.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, like it sold 733,000. It's about to break 734, and it is at $4.1 million. I just wish that people would spend a little more than 563. And I'm not saying that because I have a ton of money. I don't. I'm just saying that it's kind of. I think that's just kind of cheap. But whatever.
I mean, I personally just paid a few cents above average myself when I bought it, and that was at like 550 as well. So, yeah, I wanted to get Saints Row. I mean, I would think Metro 2033 is incredible. So, anybody who
Well, to be fair though, you also owned Darksiders and Metro 2033 already.
yeah, I mean,
And
I guess
and you also didn't give a shit about Company of Heroes because you hate RTS. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like, though I do think Company of Heroes is a good game, even if you don't like RTS games. But it's because I'm not an RTS fan really, and I mean, Company of Heroes is still a good game. It's just not my cup of tea. It's a great game actually.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna judge it from my bias against strategy games. So
Well,
RTS
I still think Naveed needs to try a Total War, but the bitch is just avoiding it left and right. Anyways.
yeah, so that's the Humble Bundle. Still going on. Still, you guys should go pick it up. Yeah, cheap. Actually, don't be cheap.
Don't be cheap.
A little bit above average.
Just and try to give it to THQ. Like seriously, the other what pisses me off about these Humble Bundle cherries, they haven't been good in a long time. Like you don't ever get to donate to the Electronic Frontier Foundation anymore. I don't want to donate to Child's Play. Why am I donating to Child's Play? And why does Child's Play need so much money? They're buying video game systems for children who are dying, which means those video game systems will soon be freed up.
But then there's going to be other kids, and they're going to be enjoying their time in the hospital more than what they normally would be.
Right, but you can just recycle the video game systems you bought for the last dead kid.
It's a decent charity. I mean, it's not like the same hospital's not going to get all this same like stuff. It's all going to different places, so it's still a decent charity. Yeah, I don't know.
It's decent, but it's not as good as some other ones in my opinion. But
it's the most well-known charity, like for as far as video game stuff goes by far. So
I would agree with that.
Anyway, yeah. Next, I picked up the Dreamcast collection. Amazon had that for $5, and with the Dreamcast collection, actually, it included Jet Set Radio HD. So that's basically why I picked it up, because it was $5. And sir, you heard him rant and rave about it last week, and he's probably going to talk about it again this week. But yeah, I played a little bit of Jet Set Radio. It's fun. It's better than Jet Set Radio Future from what I've played of that. I still don't think the chase missions are very good, but that's me.
Bitch.
So
God damn it.
What?
My phone. Yeah, Naveed's full of shit, everybody. Don't worry about him. I wrote a review, and I will get to that in a minute.
Yeah, and I did a review of Hotline Miami as well on YouTube
Yeah, but
page,
you
so
didn't
check
post it
that
on.
out.
I told you to post it on the freaking blog.
I don't know, man. I didn't log in. I don't know how to log in. I don't have an account. I don't know.
I made you an
I
account
don't know.
forever ago. So me,
I don't
this
remember.
guy. I'll tell you how Real Buttons originally started, folks. Real Buttons originally started because Naveed wanted to set up a WordPress where him and I could occasionally write articles about games. Okay, that's how it started. All right. And for the record, I came up with the name. You're welcome. Anyways, so
We spent a
so
while
yeah, we did spend a
thinking of
while
that name.
but I eventually came. It took me like 3 days. But anyways, the point is, folks, so that's how it starts. I set up the WordPress. I get him an account on there, and I'm like, okay, we can post. And that's like, this is like last year, and we don't do anything with it for months. And then eventually, I talk to you, and I say, like, man, we should do something with the Real Buttons thing, like the blog. And we were like, and you were like, well, yeah, but I don't really want to write anymore because I'm too busy or whatever. And I was like the same thing. So we were both like, okay, let's just do a podcast. And that's how.
Yeah.
Like, and so then we started, and you were like, "Oh, that's a good idea because I need content for my channel, and I have a good subscriber base to get us kicked off." And then I was like, "Yeah," and also because we're too busy to actually write shit. So I started up the blog, but I'm like, we can still use the blog to occasionally post shit to complement the podcast.
So nobody goes on
Realbuttons.wordpress.com.
there.
Some people do. I like my review for Jet Set Radio got like 9 hits.
You sure they weren't all from like me or you?
Discounting you and me, it got 7 unique visitors, which were
Okay.
primarily, I believe, Bruno, Aki, and people from NeoGaf.
Okay. Yo, you're I don't know what's the audio seems kind of weird. Is it weird on my end as
It's
well?
a
Like
little,
it
it's a
seems
little bit weird on your end.
like your audio going up and down. Like it's
Uh,
the volume. Is that the same way with me?
oh, bitch. Oh my god, I'm a fucking idiot.
What?
Hello, hey,
When?
is that better?
That's a lot better.
I was using the microphone on my freaking camera.
Ah.
And I had my headset on and everything. I'm a dumbass.
Well, okay.
Do you just want to restart?
So
Forward
no,
ahead?
no, we're good. Yeah, fuck restarting. No, people get the raw Bill Buttons podcast. You know.
The real deal. Except for the first one, which
Yeah.
we edited.
What?
We edited
I don't
quite a
remember.
bit of content out of the first one.
Did we? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
because that was the Anita Sarkeesian episode.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like the E3 ones.
No, the one where we had the Anita Sarkeesian one, we like edited like 20
Yeah, well,
minutes out of that.
that was a shit ton. Something like that. But yeah, you get the real Buttons podcast. We are real.
Yeah. That anyways. So now we got the audio problems fixed on my end, folks. Everything should be
Yeah.
good. Did we add this story
Alright.
with the Elsa person thing on the cast? Did we add that? No.
No,
Okay.
no.
Well,
You
anyways,
can
folks.
go ahead.
Yeah. So that's how Real Buttons started
Alright.
off. We never used the blog except for me. And that's the end of
I
the story.
think
Here
I
we are
didn't post
now.
anything, did I? I was gonna.
I don't think
Yeah,
you
we're here, and what?
Oh shit, yeah, we forgot to share this on Twitter.
Everything's going great.
It's fantastic. Just, dude, where's the freaking link? I'll find it. Don't worry. You just go ahead with your stories. I'll find it.
All right. So okay, I just talked about the Dreamcast collection. Is that what I talked about?
Yeah, and then Jet Set
I
Radio's
forgot.
not any good or whatever. You threw a fit. Nobody cares.
Oh well. I said it was better than Jet Set Radio Future.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, I guess that's that. So some of my gaming time has been spent on Wii U for the last podcast, which is not surprising since it is a new system and I have a bunch of games that I'm playing, and I still playing a lot of those games that I talked about last week. Like I basically beat Nintendo Land like I guess I got to the credits of Nintendo Land, so I was a star performer in each of the attractions, and there's still a crap ton of stuff to do in that game, even though I got to the credits. I mean, there's so much more content than I ever expected. So, and I also did play a little bit more Sonic and All Stars Racing Transform, which they finally patched. Nintendo finally got that out there, and now
Like
I
a
can
Wii.
do the boost. Now I can do the boost missions without having to skip them because they are broken. So, yeah, that's fun. But other than that, like the new stuff, I got a Wii U Pro controller. I had one on order from for like $10 cheaper, but it wasn't shipped for another. I don't even know. It didn't have an actual date for shipping. Like it was. I pre-ordered it before it was even out, and they never sent me a message or anything about shipping. So I don't. They probably didn't have stock at all. So I canceled that, and I just went and picked one up from a store. And the controller is really freaking. I think it's actually, for me, it's personally better than the 360 controller because I like the stick positions, the analog stick positions more. The analogs themselves feel nicer. The D-pad is by far better.
I've
That's
never
obvious.
understood the thing with the 360 controller that I've never understood is why the analogs, like the analog placement I get, but like I don't understand how come people like so much friction. It feels like you're moving it through sand. It feels very grainy to me.
Yeah, the Pro controller is a lot smoother. It feels more like a PS3 controller in that regard. Although it's got more resistance than the PS3 controller. So it's more along the lines of the 360 controller as far as resistance, but it feels smoother. You're just moving it around. The only real flaw with the controller is the analog sticks, the triggers, which is well known by now that they're not analog triggers, they're digital triggers, and they feel fine as far as digital triggers go, but I kind of wish they were analog still. So that controller is really nice, and ergonomically it feels just like a 360 controller, and I really like it. It's fantastic for a controller like that, and I'll probably make some use out of it when I'm not using the gamepad. Other games I have been playing for Wii U is Nano Assault Neo. I had this last week, but I forgot to talk about it. So what Nano Assault Neo is basically like a Super Stardust type game, twin stick shooter, set on like micro organisms or something like that. It's a really cool game developed by Shinin. The visuals are fantastic, as most Shinin games are. So it's a very good for Super Stardust if you like those games. If you want a game like that on Wii U, definitely worth it to pick up. And there's leaderboards, there's quite a few levels to go through. So that's a fun game. And I got the games that I didn't have last podcast in the mail finally. So Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Wii U edition I played a little bit of that, but I kind of suck at it. So I've tried to watch some tutorial videos and stuff like that, but I can't like I'm not good at Tekken Tag Tournament 2. I have to practice more. I've been going through the what's it called? I forgot what it's called, but there's like a mode where you play as a custom robot, and it basically goes through the controls and the basics of Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and that seems a good way to learn some of the stuff like bounds and stuff like that in Tekken. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get better at that. There's a crap ton of content in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, but for a fighter, that's really the only thing you have on Wii U right now, and it's apparently a very good fighter according to many people. So, pretty good purchase there. And New Super Mario Bros. U has been pretty darn cool. It's probably the best New Super Mario Bros. Game that has released so far. The level design is fantastic. The best part about the game by far is the challenge mode, which I have spent quite a bit of time on, just trying to go through these challenge modes. So they consist of stuff like speed running a level and
Well, the best part about New Super Mario Brothers U is that you finally get to see those New Super Mario Brothers assets in HD.
Yeah, same ones. Got a little bit of they added a little bit of lighting into there, like reflections on the characters and everything. You know, they went all out with the graphical capabilities of the Wii U for New Super Mario Bros. U. No, but I really do like the challenge mode. You have other stuff like trying to jump on a bunch of enemies and get as many one-ups as you can, or there's a triple jump mode where you try to collect all the coins by triple jumping. It's really, really cool, and it's a really nice addition that I hope whatever other Super Mario Brothers game there is, hopefully it won't be for a while, but when the next one comes along, I hope that they include that as well. So, and this one has a world map thing, kind of like Super Mario World. So that's a lot nicer to look at, although it doesn't really change anything.
Well,
as
wait,
far
wait,
as
wait, wait. New Super Mario Brothers Wii has the world map though too, like where the where you walk around and the.
It's just like stepping. Each different world in New Super Mario Brothers is basically in its own separate thing, you know? Like you actually pick World 1 and then you teleport there and you pick from all the levels in World 1, right?
Mm.
So in New Super Mario Brothers U, like everything connected together, like if you can think of the Super Mario World map, everything is connected together there, and there's some secret areas branching off, but it's not that different from actually having them separated. It's just a different view of the stuff, I guess. So yeah, Mario Brothers U is great. Yeah, it's a good game though. It's a fantastic Mario game. And finally, it's my favorite game on Wii U so far, ZombiU. So I beat the game just a couple days ago, and since I got it, I've been playing it quite a bit. This game is a return to survival horror. Like, I have not seen a game since. Well, I guess there's been a lot of games on PC, but on consoles, there hasn't really been any survival horror in a really long time. Any true survival horror game. And ZombiU, I think it just brings it back perfectly. So you start off playing every game you start off with the same
what about Cursed Mountain on Wii U, or excuse me, the original Wii?
Never played.
Oh, what about
joke, but...
Escape from Bug Island?
I heard that was amazing.
Actually, there was the Fatal. Did any of the Fatal Frame games make it over to the U.S.?
No.
Oh, Nintendo.
I guess the closest thing you get, like, that I can think of is Dead Space on consoles recently.
The first Dead Space supposedly was pretty scary.
I mean, the second one was supposed to be fairly scary as well, but
I heard it wasn't scary. I heard it became more third-person shooter-y.
Yeah, that they're going that direction with Dead Space 3, but I can't really think of many other console like survival horror type games. But yeah, so in ZombiU you start off as the same character. Everyone starts off as the same character, but once you die, and it's very easy to die in ZombiU, you will be spawned as a new character in the safe house. So I think the first 3 characters are always the same for anyone who's playing, but then after you die more than 3 times, the characters are randomized, and they're just like random people with random names, and they actually have there's no like stats that show up, but each character is just very slightly different. So one guy might have actually more stamina, so you could run longer than someone else. One guy might actually be a little more faster with his melee strikes with the cricket bat, and the cricket bat is your main weapon in the game. So you'll be using that quite a lot to get around everywhere. But yeah, so when you die, you are dead. And the coolest part is that you have to go back and actually retrieve all your items that were on your other guy. In like you have to go back where you died and kill your previous player to retrieve all those items. So if you die while going back to try to get all your other items, then those items are gone forever. You can, if you had weapons in there, you can go retrieve the weapons again, but they are placed somewhere in these different locations that are in the game, like Buckingham Palace or stuff like that, because the game is set in London. But I just find that mechanic to be really awesome, and it uses the online functionality, so it places other players that have, like, when players die, their character might actually appear in your game in that area that they died, and you can actually kill them off, and you see their username and Nintendo Network ID and stuff above their head, and you can kill them and actually loot them for items. So sometimes it's actually they can kill you, obviously. So like I remember one area, it was I saw this really powerful, like the more points you get throughout the more you survive throughout the game, like the longer you survive, the more zombies you kill, the more points you gain. And the more points you gain, like if you die, the more powerful the zombie will be when you try to go back and kill them. So this guy was like at, I think, 4,800 points or something like that, and he was glowing red. So I tried to go in there and kill him off, but I couldn't find him because the game is really freaking dark. So I tried to look for him, and then I turned around and he's like right next to me, and then he hits, like one hit, I was dead. So I went back, and then same area when I went back to find my own character, I killed him off, and right before I could get my weapons, there was an exploding zombie. And these exploding zombies are pretty easy to tell apart, but I was not paying attention, and I swung my cricket bat at him, and he exploded. So I died there and lost all my stuff, which was really disappointing, but awesome at the same time, because, you know, I think that mechanic in the game is really cool. And, yeah, I mean, the atmosphere is absolutely amazing. You get a bunch of different weapons. You can level up your guys with the more you use each weapon, you can level them up. But once you die, all of those stat boosts are gone as well. So you really want to try to take it slow and steady and try to lure in the zombies. It's not an action game. If you go into it thinking it's an action game, like the newer Resident Evil type games, then you'll probably be disappointed. But if you like survival horror games and you want to play something different, sort of maybe like a Dark Souls-y type thing, ZombiU is a fantastic Wii U launch title. And there's some technical issues, like there's a bunch of clipping and stuff like that, but that really does not get in the way of the gameplay. I guess the only other thing I want to mention is it's kind of cool because you can write notes or write little messages with preset images on the walls, and other players can actually see those through online, but the developers are actually putting in messages of their own, and they're the only ones that can actually write in any sort of text. So they have like messages like, you thought the prepper was the only one watching you, and the prepper is like the guy who is directing you through this whole zombie apocalypse type thing. But they also have like the leaderboards. They post the leaderboards every day for score in normal mode and highest score in survival mode. And survival mode is the mode where if you die, it's game over and it wipes your save. So you have only one life in survival mode. I haven't tried that yet. I want to try that, but that would be brutal. So pick up ZombiU, have a Wii U, and if you want a survival horror game, I cannot recommend it enough. That's it for my stuff.
Okay. First of all, I just want to say boycott any PC game that uses Games for Windows Live. and I'm dead serious. This thing is a piece of shit, and it must die. Any new game that uses it, please write an email, write a letter if you're above 50, text them, do something, call customer support, and tell them you will not buy the game if it uses this trash. I don't think we have much to worry about, though, because Games for Windows Live is pretty much dead because Microsoft abandoned it on Windows 8. So, of course, they still got Xbox shit, which is just as bad, probably. Use Steam, folks. Just please tell the pubs to use Steam, please. This thing's got to go. I spent just like an hour diagnosing this thing before the podcast started, trying to get Bulletstorm to run, and it would not. I had to uninstall a shit ton of things and then reinstall and run it as an administrator, and it's just obnoxious. Give me a break. So, anyways.
You suck.
The other problem I had, technical issue lately, was the Sonic Generations. So Sonic Generations, the config tool, is just absolutely terrible. So I was trying to play Sonic Generations and it wouldn't start, and so I kept on going. It kept on saying the configuration doesn't match the settings or whatever. So you need to rerun the configuration tool. So I'd run the configuration tool and then I would save it, and then I would exit back out and try to start the game. And it would not remember my configuration. So I was like, what the hell is going on? So I went and found the configuration file, and for some reason this piece of shit config tool was freaking remembering the specific model and make of my old monitor that failed. I've never seen a game do this, ever. Not only
Maybe
that,
maybe it's just so advanced that
I've
you think
never
it
seen
sucks.
Admittedly, I don't really have to spend much time in config files, so maybe all games do it. But the one thing I do know is that if other games do it, they update it and it runs, and I don't have to go in and change out the fucking fig file so that the game runs. And so I ended up, anyways, I delete the config file, so and then I start the game back up, and I start the config tool back up, and it automatically recognizes then in the config file that my new monitor is an Acer compared to my old Gateway. So it's just like, I mean, give me a fucking break. That's ridiculous. I finished Duke Nukem Forever, the Doctor Who Cloned Me DLC campaign. It was... I didn't really finish it. I got to the final boss, and then I was like, I think I can live without finishing this. And I just watched the ending on YouTube, but I'm calling it beaten. I put 40 hours into Duke Nukem Forever, which I'm pretty sure is a world record. Jet Set Radio HD, we'll go to Binary Domain first. Binary Domain, I restarted my playthrough on hard. I'm about like 1/5, 1/6 of the way through. I'm like right at the start of chapter 2 or something, I guess. I don't know. It's a good game. I don't really know what to say. I would say it's definitely in the top 5 third-person shooters ever, unless you don't count. Like for me, I had this discussion with Naveed last night. I don't really count the Uncharted games in the list because they're not pure third-person shooters like Vanquish and Binary Domain are, really, or Gears of War if you've played those. So, but it is better than the Gears of War games. That's for sure. That's for certain. What else do we got going on here? We got Jet Set Radio HD. So I finished Jet Set Radio HD 100%. I got every single achievement. I beat it, I think, 5 times in like less than a week. 4 or 5 times. I streamed most of the playthrough to get the last achievement, which was Detached, which was it was an achievement where you had to play through the entire game without any enemies grabbing you. But I ended up quitting the stream due to 2 reasons. One, my internet connection sucks, so it was really choppy, the upload speed. It was just like it was skipping frames constantly because my upload speed was not good enough to upload the video. And then the other reason was nobody was watching. So, like Bruno asked me to upload because I'm one of the top. I'm ranked in the top 100 on the leaderboard. So he wanted to see me top 50 in a couple places, and he wanted to see me play the game. So I was like, okay, I'll upload a little bit, but the quality was pretty much shit. So I don't even think he probably really watched it. But he wanted to see me play because he's not very good at Jet Set Radio, and he wanted he wanted to see me play because I am good at Jet Set Radio. So uh, I can record video locally really well. So at some point I might just videotape locally and store on my own hard drive and then upload to YouTube or something like that, so that the quality is decent. So that's probably what's going to happen with that one. Jet Set Radio, I ended up reviewing it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's one of the best 3D platformers of all time. Yet again, I would say hands down top 5 3D platformers ever. And it is a 3D platformer. Do not buy that game if you're looking for a rollerblading game. That is not the game you want for inline skating. Go into it expecting a 3D platformer, and I think if you give it the time, and you don't come in with any preconceptions, then you'll leave pleased. Finally, I started Witcher 2, which I got on sale for $7. Witcher 2 is really fucking good. It's really good, and its graphics are mind blowing. Like it's pretty much like the Crisis of within the last year, I would say. Like it's a stunning looking game. The combat is some of the best I've ever seen in a RPG. I would say it's probably the best combat I've seen in an RPG. It's really good. I don't know how far I am into it. I think I'm about like 5 or 6 hours or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of upset that Naveed didn't buy it. He should have bought it, but whatever.
I bought The Walking Dead instead, I think. Was it that?
Yeah, you bought that instead.
Yeah. I don't know.
So-
I felt like playing Walking Dead a lot since a lot of people were talking about it, and it was a new thing. So I picked that up and said I'll try Witcher 2 at some point for sure.
Well, and the thing we should talk about here is we did do it. We'll talk about it towards the end of the podcast, but we did a top 100 list, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but most of it's just going to end up on the blog, and maybe but maybe at the end of the podcast we'll discuss why we included maybe like a couple of the games or something like that, and explain how the list actually works. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it. Witcher 2 is incredible. If you see it on sale again, you should probably pick it up. The other thing that's great about Witcher 2 is the difficulty. Like, I'm just playing on normal, and the bosses are freaking fantastically for the first time in a while, I did not know what I would like when I got to like the first big boss, which was the Kairon, which I shouldn't have said, I guess, because that's kind of spoilers, but you won't know what it is until you get there anyways. But and actually, the first time you see it, it's pretty obvious that it's going to be a boss. Even though you don't know you're going to be fighting it, it's like, oh, giant monster terrorizing village. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem eventually. That I'm expected to resolve. So like you pretty much know. So I guess it's not too spoilers. But like I got to the boss fight, and the game gives you I love it. It's like old school. The game gives you no indication whatsoever of how you're supposed to kill the boss. Like it took me a solid and 2 hits you're dead. 2 hits you're dead from this thing on normal. Or 1 hit, and if you get poisoned, or if you just get poisoned once, I think it actually will. I think the poison can last long enough to kill you, and also the way that it works, the way that you with this boss, I went back because I decided I wasn't prepared for the boss fight, so I went back to an earlier save. And I was a little more thorough, and I found rather than the way that I was doing it in the boss fight, there was actually a tool that you could use, that you could craft, that I didn't even know about whatsoever. I realized it was there, but I didn't realize I was actually capable of crafting it myself, and I didn't realize I could get all the parts. I just thought that was that it was part of the story or something like that this thing existed or something. And basically, it makes the job of killing the boss way freaking easier. And so I'm hoping that most of the bosses are like that in the future because I really liked it that with this boss, there's one way to do it if you don't like think ahead, and then if you think ahead and plan, you're given a tool. You can craft a tool that will make the boss fight a lot easier. I think that's really neat.
So what you're saying is that you suck.
No, because I actually almost beat the boss the hard way, but I ended up screwing up because it's yeah, I don't know. It's a really neat game. It's graphically gorgeous. I can't wait to see what CD Projekt Red does next. So yeah, that's it for me,
right.
folks. We're heading into rumor sections.
All right, and we have one rumor from this podcast. So this rumor came about, I believe, first when Miiverse got broken for somebody, and they went and snooped around, and they saw a listing for Yoshi's Land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody hacked in.
Yeah, I mean hacked in unintentionally.
Yeah, it was first. They at first, but then Nintendo patched it out. But while somebody was there while they had accidentally hacked in, what they had found was they found this little forum listing on an official Nintendo page.
Yeah, it was listed as a community. That was an upcoming community.
Maybe. But it was on an official Nintendo page, so it had a lot of legitimacy behind it potentially.
Yeah, and then recently, Best Buy and Future Shop have both added a description for the game.
Yes.
So it seems more and more likely that this is actually a thing. So the Best Buy description says, take Yoshi on an epic adventure to remember in Yoshi Land for Nintendo Wii U. Check out Yoshi as you've never seen him before in glorious high definition. Enjoy dual screen control thanks to the Wii U touchscreen gamepad, while you'll also be able to experience full integration with Nintendo's Miiverse service. So, I mean, we don't get much information of what the game is like, but it seems like this pretty good bet to be a real thing, according to these.
I would definitely say this is real. At this point, as soon as I saw the forum listing, I was like, that's happening.
Yeah.
Also because Nintendo is completely overly dependent on Mario right now.
I'll be interested to see how the game is, what type of game it is, if it's a platformer or if it's actually an adventure type game. So
it's a platformer.
I'm interested.
It's a platformer.
Yeah. So getting into news now, that was the only rumor we had. Just today, Capcom announced Mega Man Cross Street Fighter, which is their 25th anniversary, I guess, celebration for Mega Man and Street Fighter together. What it is basically a free download for PC coming on December 17th, and it is a 8-bit style Mega Man game, including characters from Street Fighter. So I think the robot bosses or whatever that you usually see in Mega Man games are now Street Fighter characters. So you'll be playing through the stages as Mega Man, and the bosses are Street Fighter characters. So it seems actually kind of neat. I thought it was kind of funny that this is what they would do for a Mega Man 25th anniversary type thing. But yeah, it seems interesting, and it's free. So Capcom also said, I should mention this, I didn't add this into our thing, but they also said they were going to be discussing the future of the Mega Man series on the date that Mega Man is released. So there might be some more announcements coming up soon.
And just about the only thing that could even interest me remotely is if they re-announce Mega Man Legends 3. That was bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Oh, and I want that Lost Planet. I want that Lost Planet 3DS game over here ASAP.
Troopers.
Yes, that needs to come out here for 3DS.
That flopped in Japan.
I don't care. I don't want to hear any excuses. Get it over here. Quit being little bitches. Pull a Sega and release shit until you're borderline bankrupt, and then get a Japanese billionaire to fund you to keep doing shit like that.
Yep.
Anyways. All right, folks. Next piece of news is actually not that big. It's Bungie's next game. That's big, but what was released really wasn't. Basically, some concept art got leaked about their next game, which is called Destiny, at least it's the prototype name or whatever. We don't know if that name is final.
I think it is, because what I thought was very cool was that people actually found a hint of this game in Halo 3 ODST. So there was a little sign in somewhere in Halo 3 ODST that says, um, I don't even remember what it says, but it has like a large Earth and a ring around it or something, and then it's just there's something pointing to Destiny there. So they were actually hinting at this game way back during ODST.
That's pretty typical of Bungie, and that's one thing I've always liked about Bungie is every single game they've made has always been in the same universe. Like Halo is in the Marathon universe, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've always thought was neat, personally. I think the concept art for this game looks incredible, like the world.
I think I read somewhere that it's not like Bungie's own actual concept art.
No,
I don't know where I read that.
Some of it is art from contractors who worked on the game, and then the rest is like deviant art stuff that people made look like it was from the game. So not all of it. They didn't confirm which was which. But all of the art pretty much looks good, so I'm okay with just about any of it.
Yeah, and so the sign in ODST said like Destiny awaits with Earth, and yeah. So I thought that's a really cool little hint right there. But anyway,
well, yeah, they did it at the end of Halo 2, I think, with like the reference to Marathon.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is going to be like a first-person shooter again? Probably.
I think this is an MMO FPS, isn't it? It's gonna be, which if it is, but if this is the supposedly the rumor is that it's a massively multiplayer online first-person shooter. That's the rumor. The other rumor is that it's for 360 PS3. Now, those two things contradict to me. I don't think that they're gonna have an MMO that's all exclusive to consoles. I think that'd be suicide.
Yeah. I mean. There is none on how many? And
there's some, but I mean,
console?
it's like you can't even update them really without paying for the patches. So I don't know what they're thinking if they want to do an MMO on consoles because it doesn't really work out that great. That's why it's been pretty much avoided thus far. But I don't know. I mean, if they want to go the MMO, I mean, I'd be interested in an MMO FPS because that's not really been done successfully thus far. And if anybody can do it, Bungie can do it. But it's
Is Borderlands kind of like that? I mean, that's
Borderlands, I guess, is kind of MMO-y. It's not really. It's not what you would consider an MMO. Or like it's not. I forget the word. It's not like real time. It's like you go out in a party and everybody else is an NPC that you see. Whereas in an MMO, you go out in a party and you'll see other players.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but
it's not a consistent world.
Yeah,
it's not a persistent. Persistent. That's the word they use. Persistent. It's not a persistent world. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
It's an instant world. Instanced.
Well, anyway. I'm interested to
see what it does. Yeah, I agree. I'm interested to see where they go with it.
Yeah, because Bungie makes some good stuff, so we'll see what happens with that.
They're one of the better developers in the industry today. I think going with Activision was an absolute idiotic move, but whatever.
Yeah. So, next piece of news is Rayman Legends finally has a release date. Before it was actually a launch title for Wii U, but now we have found out that it will be releasing on February 26th in North America and the 28th in Europe. So I am looking forward to that a lot, and we're actually getting a demo here soon in like a week. So also looking forward to that. And another announcement for a date is that The Last of Us got a release date for May 7th, 2013, and like I said, this was an announcement like during the VGAs, and there's a couple really cool announcements during VGAs. So sticking with the VGA stuff, they showed off a trailer for what was called The Phantom Pain. So people realized like it looked, the character looked like Solid Snake or whatever snake it is in this game. I don't know. I don't follow the Metal Gear Solid.
It's Solid Snake.
Yeah, so they saw it looked like him, and people were wondering what it was, and like this is like I think this is a great troll from Kojima's part. I mean, it's great marketing because it makes people like try to figure stuff like this out, and it gets all over the
Yeah,
place.
it's viral.
Yeah, so it was. The game was actually, when it was announced, it was said to be made by Moby Dick Studios, a Swedish studio, and the founder of Moby Dick Studio was a guy named Joakim Mogren. So people found out that this was all a joke or a troll, and Joakim, the way it's spelled, is actually an anagram for
Well, I think it would be pronounced walk him or something like that, or I don't know. It's
I don't know.
Swedish.
Yeah, I know some guy I like the Chicago Bulls, so there's a guy named Joe Kim. They pronounce it Joe Kim, so that's why I pronounce it like that. So, yeah, Joe Kim is an anagram for Kojima, and Mogren. If you've heard about Kojima talked about before, he had a game called. He said he had a game that was titled Project Ogre. That was not Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. And if you look at Mogren, Ogre is squished in between the M and the N. So that's probably what this is. And then the other thing is that people...
point of the story is Half-Life 3.
Yes. Half-Life 3 is a thing. It is being developed by Kojima.
At Moby Dick Studios in Sweden.
And Quap 2.
Quap 2.
And Half-Life 3 is Quap 2. No, but the other cool thing was the damn logo for the Phantom Pain. So when they showed it off during the trailer, there's like these little lines, like these weird lines going everywhere. And someone on NeoGAF actually looked at it and put the text from Metal Gear Solid 5 in there with this font, and it fits in perfectly to those little areas with lines and little spaces. So that's a really cool thing. I think Kojima did, but they are pretty much exhausting the Metal Gear Solid franchise at this point. But that's
it's all they
Konami
have
has
left.
now. Yeah, and
Castlevania is on its last leg. Konami. Me and Naveed were talking about. Konami's basically doomed.
Yeah,
they aren't using the Hudson Soft franchises for anything. They've got this giant social gaming branch that's gonna flop hard pretty soon. Just
yeah. What I thought was, people were thinking this game was next gen when they saw the trailer. Like,
yeah, it's not. On Wii U, it's next gen, but
what was that supposed to mean?
It's supposed to mean that Wii U is not very powerful. Wii U is
it's not even going to come out next
if you
gen.
If you judge generations by hardware, there is no
I hate those stupid GAF members that think generation is based on fucking technology in a system. Like there are people on GAF who like legitimately think console generations are based on the tech in each system.
I think that Wii U is technically, of course, a next gen system. I mean, that goes without saying, but it's definitely
systems are like generations are based on time periods. When like the successor to one system comes out, that is a new generation.
That's true.
Yeah, that's how it's always been defined.
But you cannot blame people for being a little bit confused when the games look exactly the same or worse.
I don't blame anyone. I mean, I can't see that on NeoGAF. It's NeoGAF. I mean, you're posting all this shit all the time.
But NeoGAF is pretty dumb. Like NeoGAF is like one of the dumbest communities I know. Like on average, for a community that says that it's into something, NeoGAF is probably the dumbest community I've ever run into.
That's GameFAQs.
But the thing about GameFAQs is a lot of people who aren't really hardcore gamers go to GameFAQs. Like NeoGAF acts like they're better than GameFAQs.
GameFAQs is just stupid. GameFAQs is funny as hell. No, they're better than GameFAQs. Don't even try to deny
They are better than GameFAQs, but try to act like they're really exclusive. And the only thing that like a gaming community should have based on exclusivity is like, whether you're a core gamer, whether you know about games. And I mean, we got people in there who, for 2 or 3 pages, think that Crimson Dragon is being published by Sega, and that it's part of the Panzer Dragoon franchise, and they don't know the name of the game. They think it's Panzer Dragoon 4. And you got people who don't know that the equals sign with a cross through it means does not equal. And you got people who just today don't know who Gabe Newell is, and they've been members since 2007. And you got people who...
I thought that was... People actually didn't know who Gabe Newell was? I thought that was just like the Spike thing.
No, there was somebody in that thread who's been a member. I looked at their profile. They've been a member since like 2009, and they did not know who Gabe Newell was.
Wow.
They said that they recognized...
You showed me that, I guess, right?
Yeah, and then there's like Antitrop, who is a big iOS gamer, and Smokey Dave, big iOS gamer. And like, I would probably rather hang out. There's a certain... I think that the problem with NeoGAF is off topic. I think they need to close off topic. Because
I never go there, so
I never go. But the problem is that it attracts too many people who aren't interested in gaming, and then what happens is there's crossover with those people, and they end up in gaming.
I guess.
And so what happens is you have these people who like iOS games and stuff, like, and think that iOS and 99-cent games and in-app purchases are great, and they end up in an actual gaming forum with people who play actual video games and not advertisements. And I mean, I'm not interested in playing the bit piece Toyota Yaris Xbox Live Arcade game, and if they want to play that on their iPad, whatever. That's their deal. And if they want to play the in-app purchase 2012 best of, then sure. But it's like it's just like not my cup of tea. And I don't like that. Like Antitrop was in some 3DS thread, and she was talking shit about 3DS, or he. I don't know what the person is. Well, they. They were talking shit about 3DS, and then she was all like, or they were all like, oh, I can buy it for 99 cents and play on my iPod, and I'm just thinking to myself, why are these people even here? Like, why? And Wario, being all excited about Vice City on his the game, it's like 10 years old.
Wario is like the biggest troll on there. I cannot believe how he has easily preferential treatment on NeoGAF.
Oh yeah, he does. Oh well, he has, and I think it's because that he's been banned in the past, and he's actually so popular amongst the community, which only further demonstrates how stupid they are. They got angry that he was banned. And the same thing actually happened with Gravija. Like Gravija, he used to be a bigger troll, but he got banned. And Gravija is actually a pretty good user, but he used to be a pretty but then people got kind of angry when he got banned, and so they had to unban him, I think.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
I don't remember, and it doesn't really matter. We were talking about generations, but
oh yeah. Oh right.
I don't know, but it's. I guess what I'm saying is that NeoGAF, I've never been to I don't think I could find a forum that was like, oh, we're cinemaphiles and stuff like that, and then be like run into somebody who was like, Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift is the best movie ever. I just don't know what to say about it. It's like, whoa, that blonde guy is really hot. I don't think I could run it. I don't think I could find that website. And you can run into people on NeoGAF who are that stupid comparatively, and who don't know. Lunchbox. Have you seen this kid? Have you seen this kid Lunchbox with the football? That's the other thing. If you have a sports avatar on NeoGAF, that should just be a ban. That should just on average.
Nah.
On average, the dumbest users on NeoGAF have sports avatars. On average, the only yeah, absolutely. The only exception I can think of to that rule is the Brain Stew, who I think has actually been banned because I never see him around anymore. He either got banned or quit. Which is
I think the most intelligent users on NeoGAF are the ones with stupid ass faces on their avatar. You know.
No, that's not true.
Like N-Freak.
Oh no. The smartest. They're pretty eclectic, but I will say I think on average the smartest NeoGAF users all have retro themed display pictures relevant to gaming. That's what I would say. The smartest NeoGAF users on average have an avatar that references something from the gaming industry 10 plus years ago. Like Segata Sanchiro, who's no longer there. The only exception I can think of, there's only two exceptions I can think of. There's Derek, and there's freaking Brain Stew. And I think Brain Stew's been banned, so he doesn't count.
There's a lot of really smart people on NeoGAF, I think.
There really isn't.
There really is. Like,
there's really not. The majority of NeoGAF users have no idea what they're talking about.
I disagree with that, but there are a lot of stupid people on there too. Like it's like any forum, really. There's going to be some stupid people, and it's just NeoGAF is so popular. It's filled with so many people. Like people come there, and it's like, oh, it's a huge gaming community.
I can think of a lot more stupid people on NeoGAF than the smart people. I don't think that you can make a counter argument against that. I think that on average,
I kind of think you just. I don't know. I don't see it that way. Like you. I feel like you might like. What's the word? I don't know. Like just take those guys, the stupid guys. You don't really think about the dudes who know what they're actually talking about.
But I do though, because they're. I mean, I think about Irish Ninja. I think of Derek. I think of Stump Kapow. Occasionally makes an insightful post. He's often wrong, but he's one of the smarter users. He's probably the only mod that I borderline respect.
I think Eat Children is a great mod. I think he's great.
But I mean, at the end of the day, this is a community that easily, like 90% of it got behind. I would say a solid 80% of NeoGAF got behind the whole women versus tropes thing, which kind of just exemplifies what I'm saying. Like the majority.
I think that's just people on the damn site trying to be, those white knights. It's just
yeah, but that kind of demonstrates how stupid they are. They bought into it, and now they're eating crow. So it's like. I don't know. The vast majority of NeoGAF users, if you go into the women versus tropes thread, which, by the way, thank God finally got locked because it was just filled with feminazis, but that thread was like a quick list of who is not worthwhile on GAF. Like anybody who supports this woman, cross them out. Their opinions, they're just like dumb as shit. Dumb as shit. Dumb people. McCain supporter. Likes Palin. That's the same thing. It's like if you like Sarah Palin, I think you're an idiot. If you like Anita Sarkeesian, I think you're an idiot. Those are like the two things to get you. Those will put you in my book of your opinion will never matter. I mean,
You're sexist, Spencer. That's two women.
That's two.
Why does it have to be women?
McCain was included.
Okay.
Though McCain, for the record, McCain isn't as bad as the other two. It's just that he is really old and like senile. But I got some.
I think we should move on.
Yeah, we'll move on from that. I disagree. I think at least half of NeoGAF is stupid. At least half.
I don't think there's an easy way to judge that at all.
If they like Anita
There's so
Sarkeesian.
many people on GAF.
If they like Anita Sarkeesian. Or if they think iOS is better than 3DS. That's another one.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think the majority of users would think that.
No, but I'm saying that there'd be outside of the Anita Sarkeesian method, that'd be another way to grade.
Sure.
But anyways.
Moving on, what were we on? Phantom Pain. I guess you can talk about the next thing.
Dark
the
Souls
next
2.
big announcement.
You are dead.
Yay! A game that neither of us have really played. Well, you played Demon Souls, did you? Did you?
I did play. Yeah, on PS3. I played the first one a little bit.
I
Over at
haven't, but I never
Phil's.
started.
Because Phil got really big on it for a while, and yeah, it was a pretty good game. It was tough as nails, So I mean, there's that. That's one of the things.
Like,
I had
after going through
for it.
ZombiU, I kind of want to like get one of these, or I have Demon Souls, but I kind of want to play one of these games and see where the similarities are and stuff like. I've heard a lot of people say if you like ZombiU, you'll like Demon Souls or Dark Souls. So I kind of want to
the
try
thing
them
about
out.
it is they just showed a trailer and it looks good, yada yada yada. Kind of unexpected, especially at the VGAs. So it was pretty big surprise for some people. And
Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls was
some
actually
people
a
are
pretty big
nervous
success.
though. Some people are kind of nervous though because it's the new director said that he wants the sequel to be more direct, straightforward, and understandable. Some people are a little bit not okay with that. He said that in Edge magazine. I don't think. I think
Personally-
I think that the game will retain most of what people like about it in the sequel. I don't think there's going to be too many major changes, but
Yeah, I personally think fans shouldn't be worried that much, other than like the game might be worse than the other
but
two.
the,
You know,
but the one thing
Like,
is though
that's-
is that From Software, after the last time they were interviewed, and people thought, oh, they must mean something else. They didn't mean something else. So talking about the PC port here, when they were like, yeah, it still renders at 1024 by 768.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, they can't. That's impossible. Like everybody was like, that's not there hasn't been a commercial PC release that's done that in over a decade. Nope, they did mean it, and it came to PC, and within literally like 15 minutes after it came out, a freaking modder fixed it, which just, by the way, honestly, a number of things. I'm not buying the first Dark Souls on PC like ever because it uses games from Windows Live. So that's just not happening. The second one that needs to not have games for Windows Live, yet again, non-negotiable, Steamworks, period, or no buy. And the other thing is, it needs to, out of the box, it needs to have graphical options. I'm not gonna do. I mean, like if it's Steamworks and it has the crappy graphics crap again, I'll buy it for like $5, but or less. But there's no way I'm gonna spend 15 or $20, which is pretty much the peak of what I would spend on the game.
And we should mention the game was announced for 360, PS3, and PC.
Yeah, this one's been announced for PC right out of the gate, so they must have been pleased with the last one's sales. But I'm telling you right now, if they don't have support for resolutions at the very least, no, that's bullshit. That's not acceptable. I mean, it's just unacceptable to release a product like that on PC that doesn't even support resolutions, but that doesn't actually render at those resolutions, because the original game supported different resolutions, but it just rendered the game at that lower resolution blown up, unless you put the mod in. So it just looked like dog shit. But anyways, this is a big piece of news, and I was freaking out about it. I was running through my house. I was like, "Fuck yes, sweet baby Jesus!" It's like
Where's the cricket sound effect?
the cricket sound effect isn't there, and. All right. Anyways, folks. Okay. So, no. So I became like a huge Creative Assembly fan probably about a year ago, and I'll explain this really quickly because I had never liked RTS, so I was certain I was not going to like the Total War franchise. But then my friend Phil got super into the Total War franchise, which I thought he would, which I did recommend to him because I heard they were, the best reviewed RTS series of all time. And so I said, you like strategy games, why don't you check out that Total War series, because it's on sale on Steam right now. So he checked it out. He bought like a complete pack or whatever, and he got like, Napoleon and Medieval 2 and yada, yada, yada. And so he became super into them. Like he spent like 100 hours on each game in that pack, upwards of 100 hours in like less than 2 months. He was 100 hours into every single game in the Total War franchise except for the first one. And so... and excluding Shogun 2, which had come out at that point. So excluding the 2 Shogun titles, but basically, anyways, he was heavily invested in them, and he was going off about them and just saying it's like outside of Metal Gear Solid and like Metal Gear Solid and Total War, he said were his 2 favorite franchises, and so now he was saying that which he had invested a shit ton of time into Metal Gear Solid. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll give Total War a chance when I see Shogun 2 marked down. So I ended up getting it, and I fell in love because it's just enough. Like, it handles all the stuff that you want an RTS to do in real time, like combat, and then everything else is like on a turn-based system and outside of combat. But so it's absolutely fantastic. But I was the one thing I wanted to see, and that he agreed, was that we wanted to see Creative Assembly branch out from the historical RTS. We didn't want we wanted to see like a sci-fi or a fantasy. Well, I kind of got what I wanted, because we got an announcement that Creative Assembly is actually developing 5 games right now, which is massive. I did not realize Sega had expanded the studio to be that large. It now has 3 teams that can handle AAA development internally. We don't know what the other 2 projects are, but we know that they could be downloadable. So that's why I say we only know there's 3 teams that could handle AAA development. The other 2 could be downloadable titles or iOS games or AAA too. Those 3 games are an Aliens game. We have no idea what that Aliens game is. The second one is Total War Rome 2, which we knew about, and the third one is the one I'm most excited about. Is Sega got the Warhammer Fantasy license for Creative Assembly to make a strategy game, and so this is pretty much answering like my dream. I wanted this so bad. I wanted a Creative Assembly fantasy game, and I don't really care about Warhammer, but it's a fantasy setting, so I really don't give a shit. And it's kind of the original. I mean, like, when you actually look at Warcraft ripped a shit ton of stuff off from Warhammer. So I don't really care, because it's basically like if Creative Assembly made a Warcraft game. That's basically it. And I'm stoked to shit about it. And this is like, I was pumped about Rome 2. I'm more like this. I kind of was upset that they announced that they got the license, because as I told people on Twitter, I said that this is a bummer, because now I don't give a shit about Rome 2. I am only like, this has ruined Rome 2 for me. I'm only going to be able to think about this, and it's like going to be like 2014 at the earliest before we even see a screenshot, probably. And I'm just really depressed about the whole thing now. Now that it's sunk in that it's like 2 years away. I don't know.
I have zero interest in this.
That's fine, because ZombiU was boring too. But this is freaking fantastic. This is freaking
I have more interest
fantastic.
in Rome 2 than this.
How come though? Don't you? That's because you don't like fantasy.
Well, I like fantasy. Like, I mean, is Zelda technically fantasy setting?
Technically.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, on the game.
But Zelda's
but
kind of really light. It's really a light fantasy setting. It's not like, there's like no trolls or orcs.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of stuff like, I really freaking love like Mass Effect's world. Like, I like that futuristic space sci-fi world. Yeah, and I like.
And we should.
Stuff like that
there was a lot of
than...
confusion when this was first announced. Does this mean that THQ lost the Warhammer 40K license, which is one of their most stable franchises, is the Warhammer 40K RTS titles? No, this is just for Warhammer Fantasy. This is a separate board game. It's a separate license, so it does not have any effect on the 40K line. So don't worry if you like the Relic RTS games about Sega getting that license. What you should be worried about is the THQ's going out of business, and then Sega's probably going to get that license too, because it would be worth a lot of money to them. Anyways, yeah. But no, I mean, so you don't like ogres or anything like that, or?
I don't know, like that. Maybe that's also one of the reasons why. I mean, that's not the reason why I can't get into an Elder Scrolls game, but I'm like, I don't really care for a lot of those characters personally, like ogres or elves or stuff like that. Like fantasy, like I guess you could say Dark Souls is kind of like fantasy type setting as well.
It's
but
a
like,
dark fantasy setting, yeah.
That's cool. Like, that's cooler to me. Like that's really cool, that setting. But
The reason I like fantasy settings is they're pretty much predominantly blue sky or gaming oriented.
And I mean, like I said, that's also it's also based on the game. Like, I think Witch 2
Wait,
that game.
Oh, Witcher 2?
Witcher 2's fantasy, right? That's totally
Yes,
fantasy
yes,
setting.
fantasy, yeah, fantasy,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That is like I could get into that more than something like Elder Scrolls or World of Warcraft or something like that.
What makes it so you can't get into like Warcraft or Elder Scrolls in terms of their fantasy settings? What specific, like, what do you do?
Well, the gameplay, it's just the gameplay of those games personally, like it just
Well, yeah, but that's not the setting's fault. That's the
no,
that's
yeah, the settings themselves. Well, Elder Scrolls is kind of better. Like it's not bad, but
I think
like,
and I should say, I think Skyrim got a lot better than Oblivion. I think
Skyrim was really cool.
Skyrim, well, and I'm talking not even talking about that. I'm talking about
dragons
and I'm talking even about gameplay and stuff and like enemy design and stuff. Like it was an objective improvement over Oblivion, I think.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls stuff either because of gameplay issues, but I as like not a huge fan of Skyrim was a huge improvement for that series.
It's not. I guess it's not so much the setting. It's more so like how the game plays. But like I guess the setting is a little bit of.
Well, that's
a
why I'm
factor
telling you, you got to
in
try the Total War games, man. Like next time, like Napoleon or something gets down to like a couple of bucks, just take a risk. That's all I'm saying. It's like you might like it. I don't like any other RTS games at all. I like none. I've tried tons of them. I've tried Warcraft. I've tried StarCraft. I've tried Command and Conquer. I've tried ones I don't even remember the name of off the top of my head right now. I've tried because I wanted to always get into this the genre, but I could never get over the fact that they wanted you to build a fucking city or like town right behind your front line. It just never I could never I first of all, I don't like managing it in real time. I don't like that, and I also just find it horrendously it's a disconnect with me with the game.
It's just like not fun. Like
well, it's
I don't find it fun.
I'm not a fan of the I'm a huge fan of strategy. I like chess. I like Catan, Carcassonne. I like Total War. I like strategy RPGs. I love strategy. I love strategy, but I like to read books about strategy. But I don't, and so but it's just it's so unrealistic to be building a tank depot right behind my front line. Like, why in Company of Heroes am I building a tank depot in the middle of the battlefield?
That makes zero difference to me.
It just makes
I
no
just
sense.
don't think it's fun.
You haven't even tried the game, so you can't really say that. You've never tried a game like Total War where it's only combat.
No, I haven't. I've played games. I've played RTS. I've played Age of Empires. Like I said, I played Warcraft. I've played stuff like that, and it's just nothing has clicked for me ever.
And that's why I think Total War will. But anyways, next story. We've spent too much time on this one, so anyways.
All right, so Free Radical, an ex-developer, came out and talked about why Time Splitters 4 never happened. So they had a little demo set up, and basically the reason why Time Splitters 4 has never happened is because publishers would not get behind the game at all. They kept asking about stuff like Haze, how Haze was a critical and sales disaster.
Which you can't really blame them about.
Yeah, well, it was a bad game.
But, the publishers should have been concerned.
Yeah. But, I think Time Splitters is a big enough franchise. I love Time Splitters.
Time Splitters was never a big seller. Time Splitters was one of those series that could survive last generation because it had such a low development cost. But it was never a multi-million franchise. I think the best-selling one did 1.2 million or something.
Well, anyway, the other publishers were saying we don't know how to sell this game or something like that, and I don't know if that indicates to me it was so fucking crazy that they didn't know what the hell was going on. Well, they never really
knew because if you remember with Future Perfect, Time Splitters Future Perfect, they made them add a main character because what they had a problem with in the first two games was marketing it because there was no main character. And
right, because you would just go back in time and you'd play a different character in each time period. So
right,
I fucking love Time Splitters too.
With Time Splitters Future Perfect, what they did was, the publishers basically demanded they add in a dude who they could stick on the cover, who they could stick in the ads, and would be representative of the game. Because if you look at the cover of Time Splitters 2, it's like 3 dudes.
It's only one guy.
No, it's 3. Oh, it is in the United States, but in Europe it was 3 dudes, and they didn't know how to market the game because of
the first Time Splitters had a generic like robot enemy as its cover in the U.S.
Yeah.
So that was like I don't know, like I remember when that game first came out and like one of my friends actually bought it, and I thought the multiplayer was freaking awesome back then, but like I don't know how that game really, I guess you said it was low budget, but I don't think that game really sold great at all.
The first one actually did the best out of all of them, I'm pretty sure, because it was right there at launch, and it was in a PS2 drought. It was right at launch, and the first year of PS2 was really rough, like super rough. Like even the first 2 years, probably, I would say, were rather rough. But it came out in the Christmas season for PS2, right around Christmas, and I remember it was one of the bigger deals. Like it had like a lot of cover stories back when magazines were still a big deal, and like because I got official PlayStation magazine, and I remember it being on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Back when official PlayStation magazine was actually like a thing that people were excited to get in the mail. At least I was. Yeah.
Yeah, but pretty disappointing that Time Splitters 4 never became a thing.
Well, I think that
I really like those games.
Savat Yearly was saying that Crytek is interested in reviving the series if they can get a publisher behind it. So it could still happen, but and Crytek, for those of you who don't know, own Free Radical now, and Free Radical is now Crytek UK, who is working on Homefront 2 for THQ.
Speaking of Crytek.
Oh wait, actually there was some other Free Radical stuff we got to talk about. There was a little bit of a drama that broke out because they said somebody from Free Radical, I forget who, said that the Star Wars Battlefield 3 game, or Battlefront 3, is it Battlefield or Battlefront? I never played. Yeah, I didn't. I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I never played them. So Star Wars Battlefront 3 was supposedly like 99% complete, they said, but that LucasArts canceled it because But then LucasArts said it was not near completion, and that the reason that they canceled it was because they felt that that Free Radical was consistently missing due dates and major deadlines. They thought that the money they were sending them was being used for Haze. The dude from LucasArts, who remained anonymous, said that Free Radical was essentially a Ponzi scheme, in that they were using money that they were getting for future projects on current ones, and so they cut it off. Free Radical replied, I forget, the same guy who made the original statements, and said that basically this wasn't true, and that the game was like 90%, 80 to 90% complete or something like that, and that I don't know. I'm inclined to believe LucasArts, frankly, in this situation, and the reason for that is Free Radical was clearly in the throes of something with Haze, and like I don't know what happened with Haze, but it was a disaster. Like the whole thing was a disaster. How it worked out, it got heavily delayed. It was clearly the studio was being poorly managed. They say that Ubisoft gave them more money for Haze. I really doubt it. And then like it's just like, and then also LucasArts said that after Haze came out, that was when they canceled because they realized that they didn't think Free Radical could make a good game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I believe I'm kind of on LucasArts' side about that because Free Radical seemed really very poorly managed at that point in time. So I would not be surprised by that at all being true. So much has been we've even reported it in previous podcasts about Crytek going free to play. Well, now CVAT Yearly is basically kind of going a little bit back. He says that it's too early to say whether the next Crisis will be free to play, even though in the past supposedly he said there was already plans for the next one to be free to play, or to continue as a free to play series. He says that the future is definitely free to play for the company, but he said retail can coexist with it. And he said premium games in general can be free to play, and he said when I said free to play is going to be our future, I meant that, and I hold to it. But I didn't mean it for tomorrow. When I say there will only inevitably be only free to play games, I mean that there might be ones where you can just download them with a free to play business model, or you can go to the store and buy it for $60. So that's what I meant. There's going to be free to play available, which brings the entry level down to $0 from a price perspective. I don't really have a problem with free to play as long as you can buy like a complete package or something like that. Alternatively, or
Yeah,
I mean, if they want to,
seems like a decent way to do it.
like what I would do if I was going to do free to play is like for these shooters, what they should do for Crysis is they should just have the multiplayer be free to play and then sell the single player as a component separately, as like an expansion.
Yeah, the multiplayer is where you would have all the microtransactions like easily.
Yeah, and then you could buy like a complete pack or like something like that for the multiplayer too. So that, and then that could be like $60, or you could sell the weapons separately, or you could sell the chapters to the storyline separately to people who just wanted to check them out or something like that. But
Yeah.
you could also have complete packs, and I'd be totally okay with that. But I mean, as long as there's going to be something where I really hate a game that's designed around selling you bits of the title. I don't like that.
Yeah, like
but as long as I can still
especially when you do it like Mass Effect or something like that.
Mhm.
Like Mass Effect 3 was awful in the way it handled microtransactions, but yeah.
So I guess that this is okay. I just think it's interesting that he's kind of backpedaling now, because he was saying just like last couple, maybe like 20 or 30 days ago or something, that they already had plans in place for the next Crysis to be free to play. Anyways, more free-to-play news, and this is pretty much why Crytek wants to go free-to-play, is their free-to-play first-person shooter in Russia, which it's pretty much only available in Eastern Europe, and it's hit 5 million players active, which is pretty large.
Yeah, that's big.
I mean, it's not even released worldwide yet, so I mean that's impressive.
Maybe that's all the Russians have to play.
The Russians, man, they're big PC gamers.
I know.
For people who don't play online,
Most
if in terms of like older games and stuff like that, like still have communities, almost always 100% you Russian or Ukrainian. I'm not even kidding. Like Duke Nukem Forever, entire online gaming community for that thing. All that's left is Russian people. You can go into those servers. They don't speak a lick of English. They make fun of you if you try to speak to them in English. They often kick you out for not speaking Russian and being a very poor teammate. I think, or else they just have like some problem with people who don't speak Russian, maybe in terms of like a discrimination. I don't know, but
I think it's just you.
It could be
I don't
me.
like you.
No, and then like the community for binary domain that schedules games, almost all of them are Russian. The reason I rarely get to play that game online, I never get to play it online, is because they always schedule the game at like the afternoon in Russia, and it's like 6 a.m. in the morning over here. It's like, yeah, I don't know what time it is over there, but yeah, it's so. They schedule it like late at night over there, and then like it's really early in the morning over here, so I never get to play online. And like Red Faction Guerrilla, all Russian people. So thank you to the Russian listeners, if there are any, for keeping the online communities to good games alive. You provide a service.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So next piece of news is Square Enix business stuff. First of all, Final Fantasy XIV has been pretty much a failure. Their total income from MMOs remains at 0 yen, aka they've pretty much only lost money.
Final Fantasy XIV was also critically panned.
Yeah, but they're relaunching it as Final Fantasy XIV Reborn, and supposedly it's a much better game now.
I hope.
They talked a little bit about Just Cause 2.
How successful was Final Fantasy XI?
Final Fantasy XI was very successful. That was very successful. That was at Final Fantasy XI's peak. I think it had like 1.5 million subscribers.
I remember when that thing was on 360, and they were like advertising that everywhere in stores. With like,
I had it on PS2. I had it on PS2. It was a really good game. I played for probably about a year, and it was $12 a month, and then like $1 extra per character or something. So it was rather expensive, and they must have really made a lot of money. I mean, you think about 1.5 million subscribers at $12 a month. That's quite a nice chunk of change.
Yeah, for sure.
That's $100 million in 1 month. So, this is $150 million in 1 month. But so they talked a little bit about Just Cause 2 sales, and I was surprised by this. Just Cause 2, this is the way they phrased it, and I found it kind of confusing. It might be translated from Japanese, and that might be why. They say sales for sales for Just Cause 2 doubled in the first 12 months, and again in the following 12-month period. So what they're saying is that in the second year of Just Cause 2, it doubled the sales of the first year. However, what confuses me is how could something double within the first 12 months? Because you have to have something to double from.
Maybe like the 6-month period.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but it's translated from Japanese, so there might be a little bit something lost in translation. Either way, though, really impressive that it doubled the previous year's figures in the second year. Supposedly, it has sold. Supposedly, Sleeping Dogs has sold 2.5 million thus far. So, and they're saying that it's on trajectory to sell better than Just Cause 2, which is the game they were comparing it to. And Just Cause 2, they're very pleased with the sales on Just Cause 2. They anticipate that basically Sleeping Dogs' lifetime sales will be better than Just Cause 2's or around Just Cause 2's at a similar point in time from when it released.
And that's really nice to hear because
Naveed liked Sleeping Dogs. So this next piece of news, and if you like Sleeping Dogs, you're going to like this one too. Basically, they confirmed a sequel. They said it's going to become one of the Sleeping Dogs. Yoichi Wada, president of Square Enix, said that Sleeping Dogs they feel is going to be one of their top 10 IPs at Square Enix. So that means there's definitely going to be a sequel. He says it's a strong IP. He says they're very optimistic for great results in lifetime sales, and they did expect greater revenues in the first 6-month period, but they say that they overplanned, and the series is still a strong IP, and they're going to continue forward with it basically.
Which it should be at those sales, you know, like if your franchise is not selling or is not a strong IP at like 2.5 million sales or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
I look at companies like THQ and stuff. It's like South Park needing 2 million units. Like, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, no, I don't know. But then they also basically confessed within this that they said that they're having some problems with the Japanese branch due to FF14, which basically set off a chain of reaction that really put their Japanese branch in a awkward position. They said pretty much all of their profits are coming from Eidos, or Eidos, I don't know how it's pronounced. Unsurprising, this is kind of what everybody's been saying. Eidos has basically been the best move Square Enix has probably ever made. It's arguably what's kept them in business, really. I mean, you've had things like Deus Ex, you've got Tomb Raider around the corner, you have Just Cause 2, you have Sleeping Dogs was pretty much an Eidos thing. Eidos has worked out really well. You look at Eidos and you have to wonder to yourself, like, how did they ever fail? Because they're kicking a shit ton of ass this generation. Like,
yeah.
Eidos has not released one game that's been a failure. One game under Square Enix. And so, I mean, I think it's kind of impressive that Square Enix has been managing them this well, though. I mean, like, Square Enix they seem incapable of managing the Japanese branch.
While Square Enix's internal team is like just completely down
Lost.
the shitter right now.
Yeah, it's just gone. And they've somehow managed to turn Eidos around. I mean, you go back to Eidos a few years ago, Tomb Raider was worthless. It was an absolutely worthless franchise. Now it's one of the most anticipated games of 2013. I mean, it was just even when Eidos themselves tried to reboot Tomb Raider, it was like nobody gave a shit. But now it's like the big game that everybody talked about after E3 and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's pretty incredible what they've done with Eidos, and it's incredible what Eidos, and it's a good thing they did buy Eidos. It's a good thing. I would not be surprised if THQ fails. I do think that Square Enix will try to pick up some significant pieces from THQ because they've worked. The Eidos has worked out so well for them that I think they want to expand their Western business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's been excellent, and Just Cause 3 next gen. So if anybody wants to fuck around, I wonder if they should add multiplayer to that out of the box. What else do we got? We got in this financial news, they basically said that their MMOs, their MMOs aren't going well. Their mobile games, their arcade games, not going well. They only had 2 though, so that's about it.
Yep.
Overall, every single portion of the company other than Eidos, unprofitable.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is very interesting. But anyway. So Nintendo has announced the Wii Mini.
News. Very old news, but we're
this is
anyways.
fairly old. Yeah, just because Spencer wants to talk about the shitty online, the no online.
I'll blow through this really quick. So Nintendo announced Wii Mini for Canada.
It is only in Canada.
Yeah, it's only
Canada. Like literally, they came out like recently and said, no, this is only a Canadian thing, which is really weird.
I think that if it's successful there, they'll probably bring it elsewhere. But
probably.
But I don't think it's going to be successful there. It's $100 Canadian, obviously, but it has no GameCube support, of course, and then it has no online.
The recent Wii's didn't have GameCube support either,
I know,
so that's
not surprising.
But the next part is like online.
No online. So let me get this straight, Nintendo. You're not going to let people have access to the Virtual Console, which would generate more revenue for you. And how much would it cost for them to add an Ethernet port, even maybe like $1?
Yeah.
And they would make that up after one Virtual Console sale. One Virtual Console sale would get
$99 is a lot for that thing.
It's a lot. That system,
it is.
That system should be like $50.
Yeah,
but it does look attractive. I'll give them that.
I don't even like the way it looks. Like I think the Wii itself.
I think that's that thing looks good, but it shouldn't be red. It should be like all black or like white trim or something.
I like the color scheme, but I don't like the way it looks because I hate the angled edges it has. It's just
I like it.
I don't know.
It just, if it had like, I was actually initially excited about it. I was like, oh man, that thing looks pretty cool because it's like a top loader, and I'm like, I like top loaders. I miss top loading consoles. I don't understand why we still don't have top loading consoles. They're cooler. Anyways,
Sony apparently all their slim models always go top loading after a while. That's what they did for PS2. Now they did it with the super slim PS3.
I prefer top loading. So basically, the Wii U's day one patch, which was like this 5 GB ridiculously 3 hour long download, it would have been even longer for somebody like me.
Dude, you know what's crazy? I think I was completely misinformed by that whole thing. It was not even 5 GB. It was like 1 GB.
And it still took 3 hours?
Well, like 2.5 hours for me. Yeah, but launch day.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous for a gig.
But what I also did not know is that you can download that patch in the background, which I did not know that. That would have been extremely useful to know when I got that system.
Oh, I don't think you could when you first got it. I think they patched.
You can. No, there was actually just a cancel button. You could hit cancel, and it would not actually cancel the download, but it would just go to the menu and it would download the whole thing in the background.
Who would hit cancel thinking that, that'll download in the background?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so the Wii U patch won't come pre-installed for months, basically. That's all that is. It's Reggie saying that it's not going to be in there for months, which is fucking retarded.
I don't know. Does that mean they've already manufactured all this stuff and it's already out?
I guess that
warehouses or something.
Yeah, it's a stock or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, other than that, Nintendo had a recent Nintendo Direct, and they announced a couple dates for some games. Nothing really huge. They announced Lego City Undercover for Wii U is going to be out early 2013. Pikmin 3 apparently got a delay. It's now scheduled for Q2 of 2013. But that game looks a lot better than like I think it did at E3, and the new trailer they showed off looks really nice. Game and Wario, that's a game that's coming early 2013, and the demo they showed off looks freaking awesome. It looks like a Nintendo Land type party game, so I'm really excited about that. If it's anything like Nintendo Land party games, then I'm all in for that. Wii Fit U is early 2013. Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge is getting free DLC soon with new characters. And in Japan, Dragon Quest X is coming out spring 2013. This is kind of funny. You know the panoramic like videos they showed off during E3, where you could use the gamepad and look all around you, and you could see like where this panoramic video would be shooting, basically. So they're gonna have a free preview soon, and it's going to be a paid eShop release in 2013 for this stupid mode of you looking around in circles at these different vistas. So I thought that was funny. Yeah, and then Google Maps, they mentioned that for Q1 2013 for some reason.
Somebody made a really clever tweet on Twitter about that, about how Google Maps would be really fun on the Wii U. You're in your living room. Yep, still in your living room.
Yeah. I guess the way they showed off Street View would be like it seems like way more usable and useful than what Street View is now. But yeah,
it's
really
fucking
Google Maps. It's fucking Google. Well, you look
Street
around
View
like
works fine with a mouse.
Yeah, but anyway, for 3DS stuff, they announced Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon Spring 2013, Brain Age Concentration Training February 10th, Fire Emblem Awakening February 4th, Tokyo Crash Mobs is vague soon release date, and Harmonite, which was released in Japan a long time ago, which is
finally coming over here.
It's that rhythm game that's being developed by Game Freak. Yeah, so that's coming out soon as well. So
next story. Next story.
What's the next story?
Nintendo sells yes, I'm taking this one. Nintendo sells 1.2 million units of hardware in their entire lineup. So we also got details that this was like what a 50% drop for North America or something over the 3DS, wasn't it that?
What?
This is it's not going well for 3DS in the West, folks.
Total 3DS sales for November were down 32% from last November. Yeah. The 3DS sold 540,000 units in November total, and the Wii U sold 425K for the first week. That's only 7-day period in November, so that's actually about 40,000, I think, less than what the Wii sold at launch. So it's not terrible for the first.
It is like, but here's the deal though. Naveed's kind of not telling the whole truth there. It did not sell out like the Wii did. The Wii sold out, whereas the Wii U did not sell out. And also,
it depends on your location. Most places, a lot of places were sold out. Like it's just
a lot of places. It
depends,
but the demand was not heavily there. Second shipment,
it's gonna
didn't sell out anywhere. And
it's just we're gonna have to see long term
and just to give people
sales, like
an idea. It is actually being thus far. The Wii U is actually thus far being outsold by the GameCube, and the GameCube didn't sell out at launch either. It just had a much larger selection of units. It just had a much larger shipment.
That means the Wii was also outsold by GameCube at launch.
But the Wii was yet again had even if they maybe were artificial, it had supply constraints.
It's really not that bad for a launch, especially considering PS3 was.
I don't think it's. Here's the deal. I don't think it's a disaster. I don't think it is a disaster, but it's also not exactly a good thing. And the UK sales were a disaster. The UK sales were awful. It's the worst for those of you who don't know the UK sales. I don't know them off the top of my head. I think they were like 40,000 or something. That's worse than the PS Vita.
3 days period, I think. Yeah.
It was worse than the PS Vita for the same period through the PS Vita's launch. So, I mean, it's the worst. I think they said it was the worst major console launch in the UK since they started recording the figures or something like that. I don't know, but it was really bad launch, really bad in the UK.
When you compare it to stuff like 360 in America, though, like 360 sold 325K at launch. PS3 sold 197K.
Here's the deal: the US sales are not too alarming yet. They're not. I mean, they could go either way. Right now, they launched.
It's all about long-term sales.
Well, it's about how well it does through the Christmas season, how well it does early next year to see if it'll have the legs to carry it. Because if it continues to do well,
I don't think it's going to sell early on next year because there's not much early next year for the system.
Oh no, it's dry as hell. It's a big dry period,
except for a couple games. But
I mean, then it's gonna start to look more like a GameCube than a Wii. And thus far, that's what I
expect.
But yeah, basically not going so hot for Nintendo, and that's kind of a shame. But I mean, not much they can do on the handheld front, and I think they're also dropping the 3DS handheld price. But like me and Naveed have said, we think they need to drop the price of the games more than the handheld. But the handheld also needs to get cheaper if they want to get it to mass market price points.
At least that thing is selling like fucking crazy in Japan.
Yeah, but that's not going to cover everything. But I don't know, man. It's tough right now. I'm a little bit concerned for the future, and this didn't provide. As I said, it didn't provide the spark that a lot of people were hoping for. And I want to say,
sales were pretty fucking high.
They were still down 11%.
Yeah, total, but like Call of Duty 7.5 million, Halo 4 is 3.2 million, which is pretty darn good. Assassin's Creed 3 was like more than double what any of the other games sold at their launches, so it's not bad. It's not terrible. It shows that
the month was down compared to the previous year. But the previous year, like you stated, November 2011 was massive, big deal.
Yeah, there's so many games.
To be fair, this month, November was big this year too. It had the new Super Mario Brothers Wii U, it had the Halo 4, it had the Assassin's Creed.
A launch title for a new system is never going to do that big. But
that's not true.
Yeah, the biggest freaking Wii, like Twilight Princess, it had like almost a 1-to-1 tie-in ratio with the system. And that was like 420,000 units sold. And
by Christmas, I'm almost certain that Twilight Princess on Wii had done 1 million units. I'm almost certain of it.
Probably, but that's like if for November, yeah, it's not going to make a huge deal. And I mean, just the total amount of games that came out last November was just giant. Battlefield 3, it was the new Call of Duty back then. There was an Assassin's Creed game back then. There was Uncharted came out. Uncharted 3 came out then. Skyward Sword came out 2011.
Did we get Gears of War? Didn't we get Gears of War 3, or was it Halo Anniversary?
I'm not sure.
Well, we got one
2011.
Yeah, in 2011. But anyways, folks, that's that, and not so hot for Nintendo, so hopefully it starts looking up. Eurocom has abandoned their mobile plans, and they're just flat out closing, which is actually worse than what they had planned, which was they were going to become a mobile studio. Now everybody's out of a job. Next piece of news related to iOS, another iOS failure.
Battle Dungeon on iOS has basically been aborted because there's a 90% piracy rate. And that's not good at all. So, I mean, bad news on the mobile front again for this piracy stuff. And we talked about it past few weeks already. Once again, like we said, every podcast there's always at least one piece of news like this. So this week there's two. But yeah,
this is just quick. Steam has broken 6 million concurrent users as of the sale that they had, the Thanksgiving sale. First time they've ever done it, so pretty small piece of news. And next piece of news is also Steam related, so there you go.
Yeah, also it's kind of small, but it's not. Yeah. So Valve is going to be offering all the independent
IGF
Games Festival, IGF finalists. They're going to be offering them Steam distribution. So like games like Fez, I guess, would be
anything that's a finalist at the festival will be offered Steam distribution. And the reason that we added this to the podcast is because it's the first time now that everything else is gone other than Greenlight. This is the only way other than a publisher or Greenlight that you can get on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
why. This is huge news. This is like megaton, megaton. This is like if on a megaton scale, if the total Warhammer Fantasy news is a 10, this is like a 7. All right. Gabe confirms the
Wow.
Steam box.
That's not a very. That's a shitty megaton then.
That's a huge
Because
megaton.
that's like a -5 on my scale.
That's but your scale nobody cares about because you like ZombiU and Nintendo.
Everyone loves
But-
my scale.
and Wii U. Oh, burned. And
Did you say everyone loves Wii U?
No, you.
Because
Love
that's
Wii U.
great.
Nobody loves Wii U because nobody's.
Oh,
buying
everyone
it
loves
right
it.
now. Nobody's. No,
Everyone
what are you
loves
talking
it.
about? No, wrong, son.
Ed loves Wii U.
Ed does not love Wii U.
He likes it actually. Like, I'm surprised. But anyway,
But anyways,
go
Gabe
ahead.
has confirmed
Go ahead with your giant
the Steam-
megaton.
The Steam box.
That's a big news.
It is big news. I don't think that he's saying basically that it'll probably run on. He implicates it'll run on Linux and use the big picture mode interface. I don't think this represents a threat to the traditional consoles, but I do think it will be successful. What do you think?
I don't really like.
Oh, and
I don't
we
really
should mention that
get it.
actually
Like,
that one of the reasons they're doing this is because of how successful big picture mode has been thus far. It's just exited beta, but it's been used by over 500,000 people already.
yeah, but I mean, like, that could be just people testing it. But I don't really get what a Steam box could do for you. I don't. It's not going to really. It could only. I think it could only be for those people that really like want a PC experience at home, but they don't want to like build a desktop for themselves or something like
I think
that.
the idea is that
I mean,
a PC gamer could buy it to complement their desktop.
Maybe, but I mean, it's like it's going to be like you're not going to be able to change any of the hardware. I don't think so. They're saying it's going to be pretty closed off.
Yeah, they're saying it's going to be tightly controlled, but I think that they would. But I mean, I think that they're designing it to appeal to the type of person who wouldn't want to change their hardware. I think that's the idea. I think that the idea is to make a Steam like something that has sort of the PC experience for console users. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be like a huge deal as far as like it's going to have the same games on PC. There's not going to be any like new developers developing for it or something like that.
Actually,
Like, I don't see that
that's the one
happening.
thing that I would see though is that if it runs on Linux, it's going to bring a lot of games to Linux, and that might be part of Valve's strategy to get a large portion of gamers.
That
to
sounds
move
like it's just going to like bring like porting games to Linux, or not porting, but just
right, but that's a bunch of games to
usability.
Linux, and that's what that's what Gabe wants. Gabe wants people to go to Linux, and I think the reason a lot of people won't go to Linux is because there's not really any games, and so if he can get major publishers to start porting their stuff to Linux, he could maybe consider a larger portion of gamers to move over to Linux because I mean. The truth is that I'm not pleased with the direction of Windows and I don't like that it's becoming a walled garden. So I mean, if Linux was a viable alternative and like the graphics drivers were good and it supported a lot of games and it ran well, I would switch to Linux. Personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't personally know how well this thing will do. It'll probably be fairly successful. I don't think it's gonna.
No, it's not going to light the
much.
It's not going to light the world on fire. But the thing is that since Valve will not be dependent on it, it's just going to be sort of like their PC manufacturer.
Secondary.
Yeah, and it's not going to be like it'll like lose the business if it only flops, because basically what they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking off the shelf components, buying them, and then putting them together. That's all that's happening there. So it's not like they've got some big fancy, I doubt that's what's going to happen. And I would say that I would prefer that maybe Valve do something like an HDMI bridge with like a controller solution, so that way you could just stream your PC games to your television. That's what I wanted to see from Valve. But if they want to go the Steambox route, then they're going to go the Steambox route, and that's fine. I don't think that this is going to get a lot of PC gamers though, because the thing is that it's kind of the antithesis of why PC gamers like the PC. It's pretty much why console gamers like the consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, that's that. Do you wanted to really quickly? I said I would talk about the top 100 a little bit. The top 100, it hasn't been posted yet. It'll be posted shortly. We just want to really quickly say the games are going to be in alphabetical order. They're not in, the game at the top is not better than the game at the bottom, or vice versa. The top 100 games list is just top 100. Every game on the list is of equal value.
Are we gonna sort them by like generation?
I'm just sorting by alphabet.
Just alphabetical.
Yeah, I'm just sorting by alphabetical. So, eventually, I gotta sort them by alphabet, and that's that. And then the games will be posted on the blog. I made some choices, Naveed made some choices. We each chose 50 games, and then put the list together. And any game that was on my list or his list that matched up, we canceled that spot on one of our lists, and then it remained on the other list. And then whatever spots opened up were games that I think there were 13 or 14 spots originally, and on those remaining 14 spots that became open, him and I had to agree on the games that would fill those 14 spots. So if he disagreed with a game or I disagreed with a game for one of those 14 spots, it could not go on the list. So we each had to agree for those remaining 14 spots. So yeah, that's that, and I think that's pretty much the end of the episode.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I guess we'll see you guys on episode 18.
Yes.
See you later. Chick.